Chris, what exactly is meant by resilience?
There is no completely agreed upon way to define resilience. Some say it is the ability to bounce back after experiencing adversity, and others say it's the ability to adapt. Either way, though, resilience can be part of what helps a child survive and even thrive despite having gone through some pretty awful things.
So this section of the form helps parents look at what helped the child survive and cope. I remember part of the definition of a traumatic experience is that it overwhelms the ability to cope.
Yes, when filling out this form, we want to look at the coping strategies or sources of resilience the child already has. We then want to identify ways to nurture those characteristics while thinking about how to teach them new ones. This allows us to focus not only on how to help them heal from the negative impact of their past trauma exposure, but how to strengthen their ability to cope in the future.
So helping children increase their resilience is an active strategy of trauma-informed parenting?
Yes, trauma-informed parenting is as much about noticing and helping children recognize their own strengths as it is about addressing the negative impact of trauma exposure. This is an important shift in thinking, and parents may have to go back and update the trauma-sensitive review form many times as they practice noticing the things that are going well, especially if there are a lot of things that aren't going well.
Since we tend to focus on stopping negative behavior, changing our approach to focusing on the positive might be difficult.
Definitely. How about we start with an exercise to help identify what exactly is meant by strengths and resiliency?
In this multiple choice exercise, Chris will read a statement about resiliency as used in the form. Please select the answer you feel is the best response. We have 2 new handouts on resiliency, which may be helpful.
The trauma-sensitive review form asks about relationships as a potential source of strength. Does this mean A, from the child's point of view, B, from the social worker's point of view, C, from the foster parent's point of view, or D, all of the above? Sorry, the answer is from the child's point of view. To support a child's sources of strength, parents should make a list of all relationships for the child from the child's point of view. Who does the child love, including family members, friends, and others? And who does the child believe loves him or her? We need to maintain these relationships and supports to help the child feel connected, which can help him or her bounce back or adapt. The trauma-sensitive review form asks about social support as a potential source of strength. Who could be included in this list? A, former neighbors, B, teachers, C, members of their church, or D, all of the above? Correct. Each of these people could be someone who has reached out to the child in a variety of ways. We need to determine who is a source of support by noticing who is reaching out to the child. It can be as simple as a family member sending the child a birthday card, a teacher helping with schoolwork, or a neighbor giving rides to after-school activities. The trauma-sensitive review form asks about coping as a potential source of strength. What are examples of a child coping? A, listening to music when doing homework, B, calling you in the middle of the school day, C, standing in the back of the classroom, or D, all of the above? Correct. Each option could be an example of a child using coping strategies. Listening to music is something a lot of teens do to manage the stress of homework. Calling home in the middle of the day could also help them sort out their feelings and calm down. For a highly anxious child, standing at the back of the classroom might be their attempt to cope. It's up to parents to notice behaviors as signs that their child is trying to find ways to cope and to help them build upon those strategies. The trauma-sensitive review form asks about talents and interests as a potential source of strength. Does this mean A, any realistic accomplishment, no matter how big or small, B, wherever the child shows interest, talent, or effort. C, all of the above. Or D, none of the above. Correct. When looking for sources of strength and resiliency, parents need to identify when and where the child demonstrates a talent, curiosity, or even just shows some effort. For example, a child who empties the dishwasher, is kind to younger kids, or wants to be the star of the track team. It doesn't have to be a realistic dream to be a source of resilience. The trauma-sensitive review form asks about worldview as a potential source of strength. Does this mean A, feeling like part of a community, B, being a part of something larger than the self, C, all of the above, or D, none of the above? Correct. A worldview means that the child has a sense that she is part of a community or something larger than herself. Parents need to identify the communities that are chosen by the child and not those that are imposed upon the child. For example, does she feel a part of her kinship family? Is there a community that she identifies with? Does she have her own spiritual or religious beliefs? I hope that this has helped you understand that building resiliency can be a big and effective tool in your parenting toolbox. We can't ever take away what children have been through, but if we increase their supports, teach them new ways to cope, and help them learn to see their own sources of strength and resilience, we can help them in incredible ways.
Is it possible that something we view as a problem behavior might be a sign of resiliency?
Yes. For example, a boy who is, in our opinion, stubborn or headstrong can maybe instead be looked at as one who has survived by not giving up. We can perhaps reframe his stubbornness as a potentially helpful quality. Maybe that mental toughness will help him hang in there when other kids might have given up.
The next section of our form is about the after effects of complex trauma. Chris, what are after effects?
Often, long after a child has been removed from the traumatic environment, we see behavioral or developmental problems. We call these after effects of trauma. It's useful to break these after effects into categories to help us match our parenting responses to a child's needs. We've also included a handout on the after effects of complex trauma, and we'll quickly review it. Attachment issues. Children who've experienced trauma at a young age and within that caregiving environment may have compromised attachment. That includes, for instance, not feeling safe in relationships, distancing themselves from people who try to become close, being extremely clingy or needy, or lacking appropriate stranger fear. Physical health issues. This is a large category of after effects. It includes things like sleep or appetite problems, or unexplained frequent headaches or stomach aches. It might also include sensory issues, like a child who seems to have an unusually high pain tolerance, or on the other end, one who reacts to a paper cut like they're in extreme pain. Emotional issues. Children who have emotional issues as after effects of complex trauma may have extreme mood swings, feel easily overwhelmed, or become emotionally out of control. They might also struggle in describing their feelings or emotions, such as a girl who is unable to say she's anything beyond "I'm fine" or "I'm mad." Yet her behavior shows she is obviously frustrated, scared, nervous, or even happy. Detachment issues. Detachment issues are when a child has a tendency to space out or check out. A child might describe this experience as a sense that he is within a dream or observing himself from afar. Another sign would be for parents to notice that their child routinely doesn't remember that day's activities. Keep in mind, though, that this is well beyond normal forgetfulness. Behavioral issues. Behavioral issues as after effects are defined as problems with impulse control, aggression, and extreme or compulsive types of self-soothing. Other forms might include unusual risk-taking, oppositional behavior, being excessively compliant, or reenacting past traumatic experiences. Cognitive and thought issues. Cognitive and thought issues include things like difficulty paying attention and delays in language and communication skills. Children with these after effects are often labeled as having challenges with executive functioning. Therefore, they need extra supports with tasks like planning, exercising good judgment, learning, focusing, and completing tasks, along with what we call cause and effect thinking. Low self-concept. Low self-concept seems a little bit like low self-esteem, but it is so much more than that. Included in low self-concept is a sense of hopelessness, worthlessness, or being unlovable. There's a persistent negative sense of self, feelings of guilt or shame, and a negative expectation about one's own future.
You mentioned in the slide on attachment that some children may lack appropriate stranger fear. What does that mean?
A child who has compromised attachment may not be able to tell the difference between a stranger who's dangerous and someone who is helpful.
Thank you. Obviously, foster parents witness the after effects of trauma in their home all the time. I can see that breaking it into after effects, into categories, can help in trauma-informed parenting. Parents can individualize their parenting responses to the child's needs.
Yes. How about we do an exercise to help us practice identifying these 7 types of after effects?